Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, I've got a bit of a problem that I want to talk to you guys about, and I think it's a problem that almost all men pretty much have. No, it's not that. Because, again, not only does it help me get through certain difficulties and challenges, but I think it's instructive to other men who are dealing with a similar situation. So, what I'm talking about is, can you, as a man, have a good life all alone, just by yourself? Now, there's no way that you can actually do that short of, moving into the woods and hunting for yourself and just having no contact. It's not really possible in this day and age. It's not something that anybody is going to do. You're going to have to interact with people, go to the bank, go to the grocery store, go to the hardware store, pay your bills, things like that. So there's no way that you can isolate yourself that much, although some people can do it. And it could be kept at a minimum. You can have your modern life in your modern city, and you could pretty much get along by, not exchanging more than, 10 or 20 words with anyone throughout your day. But the question that I'm putting out here is this a healthy, productive, sustainable way to live? And at first, I think it's better than being a codependent slave to a situation. Understand, if you're interacting with damaged personalities, narcissists, bipolar, their own metabolism, is not in their control. So if you're dealing with these people, you might think that you can just ignore it and go your own way, but you're not in a vacuum. You're not floating around in space all alone. The things that happen around you, they affect you. Even crazy, disciplined, strong man, no, he's, Mike Tyson comes walking around a corner and somebody jumps out that he's not expecting and says, boo. He feels fear the same way that anybody does. Now, an instant later, he might be like, well, I'm going to go hit that, but not like that. But for an instant, the feeling is the same. So if you're completely alone and isolated because the people are crazy and you don't want to interact with them, what's it going to do to you? Is it going to help you? Are you going to become stronger and more sustainable? It doesn't seem that way to me. It seems that the man becomes more and more isolated. He becomes more and more calcified, locked in to a set of views which isolate him more and more. Going MGTOW doesn't mean being alone. It doesn't mean being isolated. It just means recognizing female nature. I mean, you can take it at that minimum level. That's all. Recognizing hypergamy. Another important thing to recognize, and I've talked about this in my last couple of videos, is this attitude that we believe is pervasive throughout our society. This idea that women hate men, men are expendable, men are only based on their utility. These ideas, I don't think that they are the majority. I think that they are a radical small percentage, maybe 5% of the population who thinks this way. But the ideas are so radical, so contrary to expected norms, that it shifts the Overton window. So, it's just a couple of women standing up and saying, if a man doesn't make 200,000, I'm not interested. It's only these two or three. You've got a group of 20 women and it's two or three that are coming up and saying something like this. And then the perception becomes that, oh, this is how all women think. It's not. It can't be. What this is the attitude and the principles and the values of an elite ruling class. Your top 5%, not your top 1%, because they're in a completely different stratosphere. No, this is, your top 5%, not including that top 1 or 2%. They don't care about immigration. No immigrants are ever going to move into their neighborhood, okay? So for them to say, let's have open borders and everybody is welcome, is no skin off their back. It means nothing to them. As a matter of fact, it's beneficial to them. Now they have a greater workforce to hire as their landscapers, as their housekeepers, as their nannies, okay? But unless you're in that top 5%, how can you can't really have that attitude, because they will take immigration, they will take your jobs, they will destroy the quality of your life in your area. But the people that don't and cannot afford these attitudes that are so hostile and hateful towards men and towards actual equity and actual merit, not coming into a situation with a victim narrative. These attitudes, they're mimicked, they're imitated, they're adopted by the masses to indicate their worthiness to be in that top 5%. So it seems pervasive, but it's a show. It's not real. Therefore, the question becomes, should it be the values that you live by? In other words, all society hates men and will never give men a fair shot because men are only as good as the work they do. Their only value is what they do. You can see how this attitude is very useful to whoever is in charge, whoever is running the show, right? This way, they can abuse the men, they can not pay them, they can cheat them. This is not just the men. This is the general population. This is the native population of most countries. A small game of politics is played to divide this group into what seems to be two separate groups, but they're really not. They are, I suppose, we could characterize it as a set of people who want to be part of a ruling elite class, but they don't want to do the work. They don't want to make the sacrifices. They don't want to develop the tools and the skills and the abilities to actually achieve this. They want it given to them. It's a status society. They're moving through life and asking themselves, how do I feel based on how do I compare myself to what I consider to be the majority? Not do I have enough food? Do I have shelter? Do I have health? Do I have a somewhat stress-free life where I can recover? Whatever work I do, can I rest and rebuild and recover from that? It's a very practical life. It's a very grounded life. It's a very connected life. It's hard to be MGTOW in that situation, right? Because you got to go to work. You got to interact with people. The work that you're doing is not just your work. It has, you're exchanging value through the work. You're doing the work, and then somebody else is judging that work and then saying, yes, this is valuable work. Here, I will pay you for that work. Or they're saying, look, that's not very good work. I'm not going to pay you very much for that work. So if you're trying to survive and get ahead in life, you're not completely MGTOW. You could not be. What about somebody like Howard Hughes, right? The, multi-billionaire from, the 50s and 60s. They say he went insane, right? Living up in hotel rooms, urinating into bottles so he doesn't have to go out, able to indulge his, every whim, right? I'm not crazy about the idea that he, got the name Howard too. So now you've got another half of people, right? They're not connected to their physical bodies, to the work they're doing, to their metabolism, right? They'll eat anything that tastes good. And in the moment makes them feel good. The fact that a little later they're going to get sick and feel, twice as bad. So the net good isn't, it's really not even there. It's actually a negative 50. No, that doesn't really concern them. It's a child. It's a child's mindset. And it's not even, it's not 100% their fault. You're living in a consumer society, which that's the beast that it's feeding inside of everybody. In many ways, advertisement, is propaganda. It's manipulation to impel, to cause a person to feel a certain desire for a certain product. And then it becomes so strongly that they actually need to go out and buy it. This is, what do you want to call that? Now, on the practical level, that is just the offering of goods and then a person who's interested in purchasing those goods. But that's for the first half of the people that I was talking about. That's for the practical, grounded, reality-based, health-based, sustainability-based people. The consumers, the citizens, in their majority, in half, they just want free stuff. They just want to be taken care of. They just want to feel good. They just don't want to feel bad in the moment. And given a horrible existence where they're unable to get ahead, you can understand why they want to escape. But even these people do not have these attitudes, which basically your Democratic Party fosters and pushes out there. It's a set of attitudes designed to serve the elite class. And half of the people pretend to adopt these values in order to show their suitability for the elite class, not the practical, sustainable, healthy, working, earning, exchanging human beings who engage in this in order to build their lives up. So I guess, the question that I'm getting to is, if a man completely isolates himself and says, I am just myself alone, and what I do, is that sustainable? I don't think it is. Even like a monk who retreats to a cave, in the wilderness, is he writing a book? Does he want to, is he taking that meditative state and collecting his thoughts with the idea that he's someday going to share that book or pass it on? See, I don't want the man to become completely untethered. Going your own way does not mean going out to be isolated and alone and then to die. That's not what it means. It means recognizing that perhaps half of your culture and society are going down the wrong path. They're not looking after their interests in life. They're sustaining their momentary feelings, emotional whims, which are based on their metabolism. It's not even how they feel. It's, geez, what they ate last night and what it's doing to their digestive system and how it affected their dreams and now how it's affecting their energy level. So you're dealing with petulant children who want to put on a show that they're important, even though they don't want to do any of the work. You, as a man who wants to exist and have a decent life, you are committed to the idea of work, physical maintenance, health, sustainability, exchanging value with others so that you can earn your way in the world. Could you potentially do this utterly by yourself? Yes, I suppose you could. I suppose you could be a day trader who, shorts and long sells various stocks, and there it is. Okay, you're still going to want to go out and spend that money. You're still going to want to go out and pay your rent or pay your mortgage. This idea that you as a man have to be completely isolated and alone is bullshit. It's not true. I know it seems like, this is the logical extension of MGTOW. It's not. That's a logical extension of isolation. You are not alone. Please don't walk completely away. Go your own way. Define your own values to a degree. Understand that you cannot go against the values of the group. You cannot reject them and blatantly flaunt them without being excluded from the group. There are certain groups, perhaps, a credit rating, perhaps the ability to go to the store, perhaps the ability to look to one of your fellow man or even a woman and say anything. I feel good. I feel bad. I'm concerned with this situation. This is normal human interaction. Don't deny yourself that. Imagine a company, let's say a media company, that, puts out regular content with the idea of getting views and perhaps doing some advertising there, or perhaps advertising their own products and services. Perhaps it's a subscription service. Okay, I don't know, something like the Daily Wire, right? But the only people in it are MGTOW. That's it, just MGTOW. What kind of company would it be? I think it would be a good company. I think it would be a strong, effective company that does its job. I think it would have to watch out for needless, silly infighting, right? Hope you understand. I think there might be some tendency towards that, but once you dealt with that, and made it clear that that wasn't, any sort of a productive masculine way to interact, once you got that across, you'd be in pretty good shape. I just hope that everybody wouldn't be like, no, I refuse to work on a team. I will only work by myself. I'm like that, right? No, I'm a great worker. You can bring me into any sort of working company situation and I can make a positive impact. No doubt about it. Won't take me long at all. I'm so confident that I can do it that you don't even have to pay me until it's done. I'll work on commission. No problem. But there is a problem. The problem is I can't work with other people. And it's not that I can't. It's that I don't like to. So bringing me in, to a project or something like that, is you can be guaranteed to make positive progress on it. Significant, but you can also be guaranteed that most of your basic workers are going to resent the hell out of it. I've gotten much better at it, but I'm not going to waste all of my time trying to, be the life of the party and get people to like me. I really am just going to focus on the work of it. Now, many of you are probably saying, well, that's a good thing. And if I were the boss there, I would have no problem with that. Yes, you would. You would have a problem with that. That is a problem. When people come into the group, they need to be able to get along with the group. They're coming into a culture. Let me just say this to end it. Culture is important, okay? You can accomplish things with culture, presumption that you cannot do with rules and laws and force. That might actually be a little insight as to what's going on with us right now, where 5% of the insane, crazy, out of control, metabolic people are fostering, are adopting these elite views and then insisting that all of us need to go along with it. How much of your population needs to become radicalized before that small percentage of radicalization can turn the whole society? Look at what's happening, look at what's been happening in our politics in the Middle East since, the 1970s, when Iran, took the American hostages. This is an extension of that. It's been going on for a long, long time. So these are just some of the things I'm thinking about. I wanted to share a little bit with you because I haven't been here for a while. I'm working on, some other things, but I do want to touch bases with you. So these are just some things to think about, okay? Hopefully they can give you some other avenues, some other options as to how to build a sustainable quality life for yourself. See, that's the end goal. It's you or me or any man having a good, decent life without being a slave to his desire for women and without being, and without society and culture being able to use that to enslave him, control him, and turn him into a utility until he's dead. Your purposes, your goals, the things that are important to you. Unfortunately, these things are largely defined by the people around you, by the society in the group around you. These things happen, all of this happens in context within a particular situation. So it's not just like, oh, you can do this and things will turn out this way. It's like, no, you can do this. And then in this environment, with all of the variables, it may turn out this way or it might not. I was hired to write a program once, and it was for hyperthermic cancer treatments with the idea that heating up through microwaves the cancer-infected area and then applying the radiation, that the radiation would selectively focus more on the heated up area and less on the non-cancerous, non-affected area. Problem was that the microwave generators that would heat up the area would interfere with the temperature readings of the area. So the trick was to heat up the area a little bit, shut off the microwaves, grab a series of temperature readings, and then extrapolate what the temperature was, 3 or 4 seconds ago while the microwave generators were on, what it was going to be over time based on these things. And, I told them, I can write your program, no problem, but I cannot guarantee that the measurements that I take, that the program takes, minus the microwaves, can then be extrapolated to give you the actual temperature of what it was and what it's going to be. And they said, why can't you do that? And I said, because there's too many variables involved. There's the ambient temperature. There's the patient's temperature, when all of this is starting out and, what their baseline temperature is. There's breezes. There's the calculation on time, whether or not that's right. So I told them, look, I'll write your program, except I won't write that algorithm. I can't. I, from an engineering point of view, do not know how to write that. I don't have the mathematics for it. And even if I did, based on everything that I know about the laws of thermodynamics, I don't think I'm going to get an accurate reading. And I don't want to be responsible for that reading. I'll do everything else, but not that. And they said, fine. We'll bring in, an engineer. We've got an engineer and they'll write that one part and you'll just incorporate it into the program. And I said, fine, that works for me. So everything is happening in context within a given environment, not within a vacuum. So you deciding to do something and calculating that it's going to have this particular result That's not as valuable as you deciding to do something, doing something, and then measuring the results. Those are different things, and they will not necessarily line up. They could, but not necessarily. So these are just some things to keep in mind as you move forward. Let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate. If you can, go to the Cash App donation link, throw Howard Dare a few dollars here or there. And, let me know what you think in the comments section, and join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, men.